In our next episode of Getting to There, I had the pleasure to sit down with Len Giancola, a highly successful entrepreneur who created the first organization in Florida that handled real estate property management, vacation rentals, and custom home building all at the same time. Len started out on Wall Street and eventually became the youngest managing director of global securities at his company. Deeply affected by 9/11, Len retired from the financial industry in his early 30s and moved to Florida to spend more time with his family and to follow his entrepreneurial dreams. Today, he's focused on taking MJ.com and Pot.com to the next level, so join us as we talk to him about what he's doing now and how he got to there. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of Getting to There, where we interview awesome people and find out how they got where they are. Today's guest is Len Giancola, so let's get started. All right, so Len, thank you for joining us so much. Tell us a little bit about your decision to get started in the cannabis industry. You had enough on your plate prior to deciding to do that. What went through your mind and what was the decision tree you went through?
Sure. Well, first of all, Fred, thank you for having me on the show. Super excited. Want to have some fun today. To answer your question, the cannabis industry was nothing that I was familiar with at all. I actually have never even smoked weed my entire life, never even tried it, and I'm 49 years old. And about 2 years ago, a mutual friend of ours, Pete Cook, had a connection to a domain owner for Pot.com, and that led to a license agreement and an acquisition agreement of the domain with several partners, and basically launching that platform, which is being launched a few weeks after we're recording right now. So there's a management team running that. And then from there, I was able to acquire other assets myself with a couple of other partners, such as MJ.com. So MJ.com was just recently launched a few weeks ago and basically connects the cannabis community. It's a lead generation portal for businesses, services, vendors, entertainers, influencers in and out of the cannabis community. And obviously having a 2-letter domain and a 3-letter domain in this industry is quite valuable and gives us a head start as opposed to some of the people that have made up names that had to spend a lot of money during the ramp up period to get people to know what their names were and what their companies were. So we hit the ground with a little bit of an advantage, and it's been a super exciting first month for MJ.com, and I'm happy to answer any specifics.
Awesome. So what's the difference between MJ.com and Pot.com?
So MJ.com.
We can't talk about it yet since Pot's not out yet.
Yeah, Pot.com's on the shelf for a little while, but MJ.com is out there right now. People can go check it out. And like I said, it is basically a lead generation portal. So all of the businesses in the cannabis industry, since it's not federally legal yet, are not able to advertise traditionally. So they need to get their brand out there. So let's say, Fred, you opened a CBD shop or a dispensary. How are you getting Fred's CBD line out to the masses? You cannot advertise traditionally. Well, what we have is we have over 200 million followers on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and that's the new holy grail for advertising these days. So I am able to lead generate. We are step one. And the unique factor about MJ.com is we don't keep all of those eyeballs and data for ourselves. When someone comes to a brand on MJ and they click learn more or buy now, it goes right to the shopping cart of that brand or vendor. So they get the traffic data, they capture the client. All we are is step one in the process of execution and closing that consumer.
That is awesome. So it probably looks like an overnight success. How much work did it take leading up to getting all those APIs and all that other fun stuff to talk to each other? Was it, how much agita was that?
Yes, it was interesting because, like I said, my background is not in this industry whatsoever. Right. So what we did is we had to place the right people on our team internally and externally. So we have, we hired a marketing expert that's part of our team. We have a delivery expert that's one of our founding partners who just sold his company for $320 million. So we're going to be, morphing into delivery as well in the legal areas where you can do that. So we also had development software. So we had several jockeys running the race. Did we burn a few bucks doing that? Yes, but we got to basically assess and analyze 3 or 4 different platforms that were developed, a mix of our own IP and off-the-shelf platforms as well. We mixed them and we took the best parts of each and made it our own. So that was a pretty cool learning experience for me because I do not have a technology background and do not have a cannabis background. And it was an awesome learning experience. I completely immersed myself in it for the last year plus. And now I know so much about the industry, what people need, and how we can help them. So super excited.
That's inspiring that you took the leap, knowing that you'd find the net while you're in midair. So now that you're like in the industry, how far away do you think we are from it just being, legal and taxed? And, is it a decade from now? Is it 5? Because you definitely can see the momentum growing everywhere in all aspects of it. How far away do you think we are from?
Well, the proverbial toothpaste is out of the tube already, and it's not going back in.
Right.
So I believe that before the next election, that Trump will be smart to probably legalize it medically to get that whole voter base on his side, because it seems that the Democrats are some are for it, some are against it, and they don't have their act together yet. So if Trump can legalize it medically, and I'll be honest with you, I am a huge proponent of it medically, because I've talked to a lot of these patients, I've talked to a lot of the doctors, I've really seen the back end research of a lot of these labs and how it helps people. Whether it's real or not, whether it's curing anything or not, it's helping people heal from disease. So even if it just takes away the pain for people, so your body's not fighting pain anymore, now it's fighting the disease, that's a help. Why not try to help those people, especially when I see it in vets and kids. Veterans and kids are my two heartstring pulls, you know what I mean? So when I hear those stories, it really gets to me, and those are the areas I've been personally concentrating on with charity and giving back and stuff like that. But I think medically will go legal pretty quick in the next 2 years, I'd say, and recreational will follow after that. I'm actually not a huge proponent of it being recreationally legal. Not that I'm against it, but I believe that the medical benefits are hugely beneficial to people.
Sure. Well, you make things look so easy. So is there anything that you resisted initially, not just about pot.com, but just going back into, what the experiences that made Len? Is there anything that you resisted initially that ended up being a really good thing?
Yes. So when Pete asked me to join the team for pot.com, I said no for the first 7 months. I didn't want to be part of it with certain people in the industry. It had a bad stigma. It wasn't what I was about. I'm not a user, so I really just didn't have any interest in it. And then I started to see the momentum growing, and then I started to see that I can add value, and adding value to that team, and then branching off to expand our portfolio of cannabis assets. We're going to be launching 8 different platforms in 2019. We've already launched 3 of them, and they're all going to be monsters. So what I've done is basically I had the hub, and I've added spokes to that wheel. So the hub was once just I learned about pot.com, let's say, then that just became a spoke. Now we have a hub, and it's just one of the spokes on the wheel, and we're just adding spokes every single day of income streams, which is awesome.
That's awesome. So this time next year, you won't be available for any interviews because you'll be so busy and making so much money. So one of the questions I'd like to ask, because it kind of gets people thinking outside the box a little bit, if you were given an award unexpectedly, what would your friends and family think you got the award for?
Making shit happen. That's my superpower.
That's awesome.
If you need to bleep that, go ahead. But that's basically. That's my superpower. So you can ask anyone that's ever dealt with me. I think I've done 29 different investor syndications in the last 15 years. I've never lost an investor $1, and I'm super proud of that. Some have been small wins, some have been big wins, and now they're about to be gigantic wins. So I'm the executor. So basically, I think every business needs 3 facets: a connector, who introduces you to opportunities, an executor, which is my specialty, where I actually make it happen and come to fruition, and a backbone, somebody that keeps the structure of the company, the books and records, the legalities, everything, perfect, right? So if you have all 3 of those facets, and you can wear a couple of different hats, but I like to make sure that I have one specialized in each of those 3, and every single company runs like a well-oiled machine.
Have you ever taken a personality test?
Yes, I am a.
Did you do a Colby or
one?
DISC?
I'm a 1-2 DI, I believe.
Okay, so I did a Colby, and basically it says I will start anything and finish nothing.
Yeah,
so,
I'm the opposite. So I have a couple of different partners. We've mentioned Pete. He knows more people than anybody I've ever met. He brings deals to the table, and then I basically decide or execute which ones we're going to follow through on. I have so many deals come across my desk every day, and I turn down 90% of them. You know what I mean? So that's what I like to do.
Is there any not won't say regrets? Is there, if you had the ability to do a do-over, if you had the genie do-over ticket, what would you use it for? What would you do over just in your personal,
I would have left.
Professional, whatever?
Yes, my previous life, I was a corporate employee on Wall Street and ran a $16 billion trading desk. I did that for 12 years out of college, and I would have stopped that earlier and became an entrepreneur and business owner at an earlier stage. I'm 49 years old right now. I didn't really begin building true wealth till the last 15 years of my life, and really accelerated that in my 40s. I wish I started that in my 20s, and I'd be at a completely different, really special level right now.
That's awesome. If you had to think about something that you don't get enough credit for, do you get the credit for being the executor, or is there something else that you just don't think you get enough credit for, in general?
I think, and I welcome people doubting me or doubting my abilities or doubting the things I'm involved in. That fuels me to be ultra successful. So you can ask any of my close friends, as soon as I receive a little, haterade or doubters, I up my game in the biggest way. I welcome competition. I welcome people doubting it, because that just fuels me. And sometimes the enemy of everyone is complacency, and I don't let myself get complacent. So even if it's just a little dig from someone, and I'm sure you'll get a review if someone doesn't like what I'm saying, sure, I'll just read one comment and that will fire me up to do even more. So that's just the way I'm wired. I like to be in your face. I like to be a little brash. I like to be arrogant, but I back it up every single time. And I hope that inspires people. It's not showing off. It's not bragging. It's just the way I'm wired. And I hope that there's somebody out there that feels the same way, and maybe that can help elevate their game.
Right. I love it when someone says you can't do something. That's when you say the proverbial hold my beer and you go, get it done.
Exactly. Exactly.
What's the smartest decision you've made? With all these great decisions in your rearview mirror, what's the smartest decision if you had to pinpoint, one or two of them?
I retired from Wall Street at the age of 33, even though I was making 7 figures a year, and I was the youngest managing director in the Americas for my company. I left right at the top of my game because I felt like I peaked early, and it was just, I didn't want to be that guy sitting in a trading desk or a cubicle till I'm 65 years old and hope my 401k is cool and I'm healthy enough to enjoy it then. So I actually retired from the age of 33 to 36 and reinvented myself, and then became a serial entrepreneur, built and exited several businesses, and now have really just jumped that scaling level to another arena.
That's awesome. When things don't work out as planned, do you have a process in which you break it down and see where the breakdown is, or is there a different way? Like, you expect it to be this and it's that, and you deal with it as an executor, you have to deal with it. What's your process for bridging that gap from what you thought was going to happen to reality, maybe not punching in the face, but giving you something, a curveball you didn't expect? How do you think through that and not lose your motivation along the way?
Sure. So there's different ways of curveballs. It could be a business partner that isn't who you thought it was. That could be a curveball, and there could be a business plan that isn't going according to plan, and you have to adapt and stop on a dime and switch directions. I find that the latter is much easier because business plans are all BS, right? It's just a piece of paper somebody wrote down. It's just a blueprint. It can be changed at any time, and especially, in this day and age, technology is changing so rapidly. Back in the past, it would change every 30 years. Then it was every 10 years. Now it's less than a year where technology is changing rapidly. So things are going to change. What MJ.com is right now, there's no way that's what it's going to look like next year. Impossible. We'll completely change it and change the platform, change the way we do things. That's just what it is when you're in the technology world. I was never in the technology world. I was in other worlds, and sometimes you stayed the course, but I've always had this unique ability to adapt on the fly. And I don't stick to any plan. I'm not a business plan guy. I'm not a budget guy. I just go, every day is different, and I adapt that day and execute that day. Now, when it comes to personal and business partners, I have a one-strike policy. So I've had several business partners, and when I see that you're a fraud or you're pulling your weight, I eliminate them immediately. No questions asked. Boom. I don't care if the relationship's gone. I don't care if they talk crap about me. I eliminate them immediately, and I keep moving. I never stop. So my train keeps moving, and you're either on the train or you're not on the train. and I have a one-strike policy. And once again, it sounds maybe a little harsh, but it's been super successful for me.
Right. And you don't have time to do it the other way. You can't just, give people 15 checks.
Right.
So
Correct.
I'm friends with you on Facebook. You are awesomely out there with your family. How do you balance, kicking ass, in the boardroom and kicking ass as a dad and a spouse? How do you make that balance? And do you budget the time for that, or do you just make the family the priority and then the time for businesses? Like, which one's your rocks in the sand versus the sand, when you fill up your day and your week?
Yep. Well, I have a unique situation. So Number one, my wife is my best friend. We've been best friends for 30 years. We've been together for 30 years. We just had our 24th anniversary, wedding anniversary. We are partners in everything. She is the backbone I described earlier. She's the one who does the books and records. She does all the corporate structure. I'm either on the board or own 32 different corporations. So she keeps track of all of that. And that is not fun right now during tax time and extension time, as we're taping this. So she's running around crazy right now, but she takes all of that off my plate so I can go and execute. So we are partners. When we have conversations, a lot of it's about our businesses because we both are going in the same direction. We're both interested in the same things and building our empire and building a legacy. Now that has translated to my children. I have 2 teenage daughters, and they have been on the entrepreneurial path for 4 years already. They started when they were 14 and 10. They're currently 18 and 14. They have a higher net worth than the average 50-year-old in this country, and it's not from mommy and daddy's money. We never gave them $1. The only thing I contributed is they took money out of a college 529 plan, and there was a $2,000 penalty, and I paid that for them. That's it. Otherwise, it was all their money they've saved from side gigs, birthdays, christenings, confirmations, all that stuff that they just pooled together. They started an LLC, and they've been investing for 4 years because they heard all of the different things mom and dad were doing, and we waited for them to come to us. We never pushed them. They came to us and they showed an interest, and we started a process that we called the 5-year plan, where they would invest in 5 different investments, and every year they would exit one, even if it was doing well, just to see how a transaction works from beginning to end in different fields. So they did a vacation rental property, they did a distressed debt fund, they did a private hard money loan. They're invested actually in a couple of these cannabis online assets. So they've tried all different things, and now they've built this nest egg where they can be ahead of everybody. They have last year they made, well over 6 figures at that age. That's incredible.
That's awesome.
And so we have those conversations at dinner. I don't go to work. I don't have an office. My wife doesn't have an office. We built our own home with 2 separate offices in it, and we do all of our work out of here. All of my partners, we're remote, and we do everything online. That's the world you live in right now. I'm holding up a phone right now on the camera. You can do everything from this phone, right, just like we're talking on a device. You can do everything from there. You don't need an office. You don't need overhead. It's just not needed. So I'm home, I'm present every single day. And I go on dates with them for lunch or dinner every day. We do something together every single day. It's not like an occasion like, hey, on the 4th Tuesday of the month, we're gonna go out to dinner and have a date. No, we do that every day. That's awesome. We travel together. We call ourselves G4. That's the name of the foundation we're starting to help vets and kids, like I said earlier, the G4 Foundation, as we hit certain wealth levels. And it's just something we do together. We like being around each other, and we just have a blast, man. You only get one shot at this, so why not make it awesome?
So with all you could choose from, what is your biggest, proudest moment? What is your proudest moment?
I believe my proudest moment was picking up and just taking a shot with no plan. I moved my whole family from New York to Florida 15 or 16 years ago with no plan, knowing that I had enough confidence and enough support from my wife that I would figure it out. And executing on that and proving that when people told me I was nuts leaving that job, even my own family told me I was crazy. Not my immediate family, extended family told me I was crazy. And I just had so much support from my wife. And as my kids got older, so much support from them. They know I'm a little crazy. They know I'm out there. They know I post crazy stuff. They know I get in confrontations, whatever it may be. But I welcome it. They support me. And that's my most proudest moment, is leaving at the top of my game and creating something else. So now I'm on my 3rd different industry that I've made 7 figures a year in 3 different industries before the age of 50 is pretty damn cool.
That's awesome. Well, I thought of you this morning getting ready for work. And this, to me, I don't feel this is work, but I'm doing it to kind of find out from people what makes them successful. And the question I had in my head was that I was interested in asking you, of all the questions, all your answers and all your questions are valuable, but what is next for you? Like, I am so excited for whatever you have. Like, do you have what's next, or is pot.com and that focus going to be consuming you until you find something next? Do you already know what's next? Or
yeah, I have it. I have a short attention span, so I know that my attention span is only a few years. I would be shocked if I'm still in this industry in 3 or 4 years from now. I'll probably exit by then. My next, I don't know what it is, because I didn't know cannabis was going to be it, and now MJ.com, we have pot.co, we have a Hits Blunt Instagram page, just hit 3 million followers. We have so many different things. I just started a podcast. Can I plug my podcast, Fred?
Absolutely. Go ahead, please do.
It's called All About the Lenjamins. It just released last week. I hope to have you on it one day. And it's pretty cool, where I just talk about that money is not a taboo subject and how to attain it, and have some funny guests, have some valuable guests. So anyway, check it out. It's on iTunes, just came out last week. But I'm just doing different things. Right now, my focus is on MJ.com and those assets I just named. That is, when I go in, I go all in. I am 100% in that until I'm out. And when I go out, I am out. I don't go back. So when I worked in the financial industry, which I know you're a part of, I don't even play with stocks. I mess around with like play money, with penny stocks and just goofy stuff.
Right.
I don't have a huge stock portfolio anymore. I have an asset portfolio, but I left it behind. I sold my vacation rental company. I have a couple of them left, but I am not concentrating on it at all anymore. I am now immersed in these cannabis platforms, and I'm going to make the best of it. And the goal is 3 commas, baby. That's the goal combined. Right. So I'm working on that right now, and we're on our way.
Any interest in writing a book? I mean, you have some awesome stories and experiences, and you've made decisions that other people may not have made the same decision that you made, and you had some whats to make those decisions. Is there a book inside you to get out and help people make those hard decisions like you did?
I've been asked many times, and so far the answer's been no. I'm sure it'll happen at some point, though. Probably makes sense, and it's something that I can leave for my family as well.
Sure.
So I don't think books are a income producer, but it's a nice way to memorialize your story and help other people, like you said. So at this point, no plans. In the future, I'd be pretty.
I would love to have an autographed version of the book you haven't read, you haven't wrote yet. What's a question you want someone to ask you and they never do? Like something that you would wish someone asked you. So I would like to ask that question, but what is the question that you never get to answer that you would like to have asked of you?
I don't know if it's a question, but I think it's the thought that money is scarce, and the truth is that money is unlimited. So I'm not afraid. If I lost everything I have right now, I'd have it back next year. I'm not afraid to take risks. I'm not afraid to throw it all out there. I live like I'm broke, and I don't mean that I don't go do things. What I'm saying is when I get a huge sum of cash come in, I deploy it. So I don't have any cash. I keep deploying it, so that money are soldiers that are out there working for me to bring more soldiers back, right? So I do that, and people are afraid to do that because they think it's gone, and what if I don't make any more money? They're reliant on income. Those are W-2 employees that are reliant on income as their sole and main focus, or their biggest assets, their primary residence. I am the opposite. I don't want any income. I want cash flowing assets, which I guess could qualify as income. I don't want W-2 income ever. I will never have W-2 income again. Money is unlimited. I can go get money any day I want, anytime I want. I can figure out a venture, and I'm confident in that. So that confidence allows me to take chances that normally, or maybe a sane person wouldn't take some of those chances, but I'm not worried about it. I do it with play money. If it goes to zero, who cares? I'll make more money.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I'll go on vacations. I'm flying first class. I'm staying in a penthouse suite. I'm showing my kids the finer things in life. And I showed them the crappier things in life. I take them around and show them places I grew up, or places I was part of, places where I own properties, and they know the difference. So these, I make sure my kids are not completely insulated from the real world, but I want them to see the finer things in life so they can aspire to want that. My parents did what my grandparents did at a certain level. My parents elevated that. I've elevated what my parents did, and I want my kids to elevate what I've done. So I want to continue that progression.
Are there any books that you read that have kind of changed? You have a unique and I agree with perspective of life. Are there any books that when you read it, I heard a little bit of Richest Man in Babylon, and you're talking about, getting the soldiers out there and making money for more soldiers. Is that a book that you read, or is there any other books that you would like our viewers to, if they can't pick your brain because you haven't written your book yet, what resources do you think would be a good, besides your podcast, would be a good, place for them to kind of see your perspective of the world and change their mindset? Because once they change that, it all kind of gets easier from there.
Yep. Well, I think Rich Dad, Poor Dad's obviously a classic. That was the first book my children read when they showed interest in investing. We made them read that book and do a presentation to us independently. That tells them the difference between the working man and the investing man, basically, right? So I think everyone needs to have that foundation, but then I like in-your-face type stuff. So my favorite book ever is Relentless by Tim Grover. I love that book. I've probably read or listened to it 4 or 5 times in the last 2 years. It makes me want to run through a wall. I love it. The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco is a beautiful book about the difference between living slow and living fast, and not meaning partying or anything like that, talking about investing and building wealth. His follow-up to that was Unscripted, which is also good but very long and detailed. And then Be Obsessed or Be Average by Grant Cardone was another great book. And you can tell all the guys I'm mentioning, they are all in your face and brash and arrogant. Sure. And that's what resonates with me. You know what I mean? So I'm not a Tony Robbins guy, even though I've been to an event and it was cool and it was fun. But I'm not a Tony Robbins guy, but I know he's awesome for a lot of people, right? But those are the people I just mentioned, are the ones that really resonated with me.
Well, you just reminded me, I actually have Relentless started, and start anything, finish nothing. I need to go back and finish reading that, because it's on my, I know exactly where it's at, and I probably am chapter 3 or 4. I could talk to you all day. I know your time is valuable. You just, your 30 companies need you. Is there any question, again, besides the one you just asked, any other questions you would want someone to know about you, or maybe words of wisdom that if they're a W-2 employee and they want to take the next level and have the confidence before they see it? Because that's really what happened. You had the confidence you were going to figure it out before it got figured out. Your family believed in you and you figured it out and you knew you would. For those people that don't have that confidence, what would you tell them to do or think?
If your job's not a fit, just go ahead and quit, right? I've heard that saying. I actually saw that on social media recently too. And what that is basically, if you think you're going to do it, but you're afraid to, you'll never do it. But if you quit, you have to do it, right? So let's say you're right. So if you're working in a job and it's comfy and complacent, and you got your medical benefits and all that, and you got your 401k and they're matching 15%, you feel comfortable, you feel safe. But what you're doing is you're making somebody else rich. Go take a shot. You've got one life. Like, people don't get it. You're gonna die. Like, go get out there and do it for yourself the best way you can. Figure out what your strength is. Everyone has one. I'm not smarter than anybody else. I just maybe had a bigger set of you-know-what to go try it. And once I tried it, I learned. I didn't know everything at first. I learned during the experience. Now, over 15 years of doing for myself, I'm pretty sure I can walk into any room and close any deal with anybody on anything. That's just how I feel. Can I? Probably not, but I feel like I can. And that was because I took that leap. I took that chance. I just left an awesome job and tried it. Did I know what was going to happen? No, but I was confident that it was going to work out, and it has. So just go take a shot, man. Swing the damn bat. Don't look for a walk. Swing the bat.
That is awesome. I can't think of a better way of closing out this phenomenal interview. Len, thank you so much for your time. We will make sure we put a link to your podcast. Glad to have you. Glad to catch up with you as things progress and have you back, and you can tell us all the cool stuff that you can't tell us about now. Thank you so much for being here. Looking forward to catching up with you.
Thank you, Fred. Thanks so much for having me. Had a great time.
Take care, Len. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. That's what you have to do. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time on Getting to There with Fred Hubler.